G'day, it's fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website and YouTube channel Kangaroo Court of Australia. Now, I'm about to show you a recording of Prime Minister Anthony Albanese on the Insiders program on Sunday the 27th of July 2025. And I've embedded myself in the video, and I'll pause it and make some comments along the way. Then I'll have some more to say at the end of it, and I'll play you that now.
Straight to the Prime Minister, who joins us this morning. Thanks so much for being with us.
Good morning, David.
So can I get your reaction first up to Israel's decision, the announcement in the last few hours that it will be allowing more aid through airdrops and convoys back into Gaza? Is it enough?
Well, this is a start, but we need to make sure that people who are innocent, including the young boy who people will have seen that image of, just breaks your heart. A one-year-old boy is not a Hamas fighter, and the civilian casualties and death in Gaza is completely unacceptable. It's completely indefensible. My government has been very consistent in calling for a ceasefire. We've been consistent on calling out the terrorists in Hamas and saying that the hostages should be released.
What you'll find, he hasn't been consistent, and he's never said it in relation to the war crimes and the genocide going on in Gaza, which the International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant for the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He's never said that. Why is that?
But we have rules of engagement, and they're there for a reason.
Rules of engagement, we've all seen it on TV where they've been bombing hospitals, bombing schools, and just wiping out the whole Gaza country, in effect.
And there to stop innocent lives being lost, and that is what we have seen.
Well, there's been over 50,000 innocent lives lost over the last 18, 20 months, and he said very little.
You mentioned the image of the young boy, and I want to show it, and a warning that it is distressing, it is confronting to any viewers who might be concerned, but a lot of people will have seen it. This young boy, there are various images of him. It has been very powerful. It clearly has stirred a lot of global reaction. I mean, how have these sort of images made you feel personally?
They've embarrassed him is what's happened, and embarrassed him to use a few harsher words like the rest of the world leaders have been doing over the last couple of days. But where have they been over the last 20 months?
Well, it's not just that image, but many of them just break your heart. That's an innocent young boy, and for anyone with any sense of humanity, you have to be moved by that. And you have to acknowledge that every innocent life matters, whether they be Israeli or Palestinian, which is why we need to end the current conflict, but why also we need to move to longer-term solutions, which of course go back to what was envisaged in 1948. Wasn't the creation of one state, it was the creation of two.
And I'll come to that and the developments on that front. I mean, you point out that Hamas is yet to release the surviving Israeli hostages. We don't have images of them. You also mentioned, though, that Israel needs to abide by international law. Is Israel complying with international law?
Well, quite clearly it is a breach of international law to stop food being delivered, which was a decision that Israel made in March.
So here we are in July, March, April, May, June, July, and it's almost August. And he's decided to say a few words now. Why hasn't he been saying words all day, every day since March?
And
so it's breached international law?
Well, I'm not a lawyer. Those things will play out their course. But I tell you what it's a breach of.
He's not a lawyer. Well, you don't need to be a lawyer to understand you can't cut off food to a whole population. It's basically using food as a weapon of war.
It's a breach of decent humanity and of morality, and everyone can see that. I'm a supporter of Israel and Israel's right to defend itself.
So he's a supporter of Israel, but their Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, is a wanted war criminal, a wanted person for genocide, who's committed genocide. Well, that's what the International Criminal Court says is a huge prima facie case. That's why they've issued an arrest warrant.
That boy isn't challenging Israel's right to existence.
Well, there's been 15,000 to 20,000 children killed over the last 18, 20 months. Where's he been talking about that on a regular basis, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese?
And nor are the many who continue to suffer from the unavailability of food and water. The fact that people have lost their lives queuing to get food and water, distributed not by the UN, but distributed by the joint Israeli-American operation, is a tragedy. And what I have said to the Israeli President, Isaac Herzog.
He said it to the Israeli President, Isaac Herzog. Well, who cares what he says? It's the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, who's running the country, who's running the war crimes, who's overseeing the genocide in Gaza. Yet he's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese talking about how he's spoken to the President of the Israel, Isaac Herzog, or whatever his name is. Well, why is he even talking to him? Why doesn't he mention Benjamin Netanyahu? Because he knows Benjamin Netanyahu is a wanted war criminal. So he won't talk to him, won't mention his name.
Is that what sometimes friends have to say?
There he is, talking about being friends with Israel. He has no shame while they're committing genocide, while they're committing war crimes.
To their other friends when they are losing support. Israel is...
He's worried about Israel losing support on the international stage. What Albo's worried about is him losing support here in Australia because he's spineless.
Is I think, when you look at internationally, the statements that have been made by including this week more than 24 nations combining to call out the
24 nations, that's Albo. He's a follower, not a leader. He jumped on board because he had no option. He didn't want to be isolated by himself, well, along with the US, but by doing nothing and allowing the genocide and war crimes to continue.
The lack of aid being allowed into Gaza is that they need to recognise the need to operate within international law. As I go back to after October 7, the motion, the resolution that was carried by the Parliament on a bipartisan basis, I think stands quite well.
Now, I understand your point there and understand you're not a lawyer, but it does sound very much this morning like you're saying they have not been abiding by international law.
Well, quite clearly. International law says that you can't hold innocent people responsible for what is a conflict. I mean, we have...
So he's not a lawyer at the beginning, but now he's saying quite clearly, well, of course it's very clear. You can't use food and water as a weapon of war, or the lack of it.
Be very clear. I mean, Hamas's actions on October...
Oh, here we go. Hamas is the problem. Well, if Hamas is the issue, why are they negotiating with Hamas for a ceasefire?
7 is where the current atrocities began. And Hamas can have no role in a future state. Hamas, a terrorist organisation.
Well, the International Criminal Court want the Prime Minister of Israel for war crimes. They've issued an arrest warrant. War crimes, genocide. I think Israel could be classified as a terrorist organisation as well.
Who I find their actions are abhorrent. The fact that they have held on to the hostages, they're not only holding Israeli citizens as hostage, but they're holding Palestinians hostage as well, effectively through...
Israel has got the biggest open air prison, which is called Gaza, and there's Palestinians in there. So for Anthony Albanese to ramble on about 20 hostages that Hamas have and accusing Hamas of holding the Palestinians to ransom, you've got to be kidding.
Their failure to engage in any constructive way. But Israel, as a democratic state, has a responsibility to ensure that innocent lives are not lost. And what we've seen is too many Israeli and Palestinian lives lost, and every life matters.
So
Now, during the interview on the Insiders program, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese mentioned Israeli President Isaac Herzog. Problem is, this is what it says on the internet. In Israel, the president is the head of state, while Prime Minister is the head of government. The president's role is primarily ceremonial, representing the state and promoting national unity. The Prime Minister, on the other hand, leads the government and is responsible for the country's executive functions. So, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese talking about how he spoke to the President of Israel. Well, he's wasting his time because that's the equivalent of someone talking to our Governor General about political matters in Australia. They have no control. It's the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, who is starving the people in Gaza. That's the person he should be talking to, or should have said he was talking to. But Anthony Albanese doesn't want to go anywhere near him or mention his name because he's a wanted war criminal. The International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu for alleged war crimes and genocide, which we can all see happening ourselves. What Prime Minister Anthony Albanese was doing, he was playing to people who haven't been following the genocide in Palestine, the mass murder of innocent men, women and children. So when he says he spoke to the President of Israel, it sounds impressive. Oh, look, I was speaking to the President. Well, he's wasting his time and he knows it. Just paying lip service, trying to impress the people who haven't been following the war. And it's not a war, it's just a mass murder. Anyhow, please do your bit and help shine a light on corruption and share this video on social media. In Kangaroo Court of Australia's independent media, I publish a website and YouTube channel, and I'm 100% crowdfunded from viewers like yourself, so please donate via Patreon or PayPal. I'll put the links below this video on YouTube and also on my website. Otherwise, you can go to my website and click on the donations page for other donation options. And please hit the like and subscribe button and notification button. That way you get notified every time I publish a new video. Other than that, thank you for your time and have a good day.